So the very first tool would be the stick that the ancient Druids were holding. Heavy, thick, massive stick, strong and powerful stick, which wasn't here to help them to walk, but which was a symbol. The outfit of the Druids was pretty minimal, basic. It was a white robe most of the time, not much sign, which would differentiate them from the others, from a group or a community, unless this stick, which was the stick of power. This stick was symbolizing and representing the fact that the Druid in its village was the healer, and in this way the protector. He was impersonating the figure of his father, the guide, spiritual guide, and as well the guardian of his values. These values are so important. They are federating the group. It gives a meaning, a direction, and intimate understanding of the events and the unknown, which is represented by the future. So symbolically, a way to empower your anchoring and your connection with the earth would be to represent yourself holding this stick of power and feeling this duty, this responsibility for yourself and for the others as a benevolent attitude, being the guardian of the values, which would lead you, first of all, to clearly identify and understand which are your fundamentals, which are your values, which are unwaverable, which would remain no matter what, whatever the circumstances could be. In this way, no matter the situation could be, whatever you would go through an apocalypse, whatever you would be in a discussion or a communication with some people which would like to argue with you and manifest their own right, their own truth. It's a fundamental human repair which should be integrated deeply. In any situation, you're conversing with someone, you're exchanging, and at some point, if it's become conflictual, you calm it down and you go back to the fundamentals. Which are your values? Do you know them only? Because I know my values. I know that what is acceptable, what is not, what should be done, and what shouldn't do, what shouldn't be done. It would lead to an agreement, and it may become a pacificator, or it would lead to some official conflict. Then, at least, there would be no waste of time and no waste of energy trying to argue, bargain, or negotiate. It would be an open war. And the person or the situation facing you would become your enemy. And there would be not much to think about. It would be all about action and acting. One step further, this deep understanding of this element, of this tool, the stick of power, would be a matter of healing and would be federating. Federating as far as if you want to integrate a community And whatever you would initiate this integration, or you would bud this community, you will gather people, or you will join a community by yourself and then gather more people and add more people to this community, whatever the position you would have. It could only and necessarily be motivated by holding this stick, the stick of power. You would have, first of all, be sure of your own values and be the guardian of your own values. And then it would be a source of motivation for others. If you know and you can spot clearly which others value, you could invite some other people to join because they would share the same values. And they would be in a search for an asylum, a refugee, a roof, a land, somewhere they could link with each other's plants and let grow their own roots safely, protecting themselves, protecting others, and be protected by others. The power of the stick of power is beyond imagination. With just one stick, you can build an entire nation. The stick of power could be used as well in terms of healing. This only stick could save a life. Literally. How many people are lost, scattered, psychologically devastated, without any repairs, suffering from traumas, breaches throughout their psyche, which could lead them to despair, to mental institutes, to addictions. Sometimes eventually it would even could be even more fatal to suicide. By simply using this stick of power as a healing tool and reminding them or teaching them, showing them, suggesting to them, guiding them towards this, acknowledging which are your values, by assisting them to recognize which are their values, fundamental, what they do believe in, they would find their way to anchor themselves at new, structure their psyche, their mind, their perception of their environment, their motivation, purposes, patience, statements. This stick would help you to help them to rebuild themselves completely. The stick of power is the oldest, the most powerful, and most fundamental psychological tool since the rise of the existence of the logos, the verb, used throughout communication. The stick of power represents as well a force, a will, the affirmation of some authority, which wouldn't be a personal or individual authority. By holding the stick of power, you would hold a superior authority, which would be inspired not by the laws of the earth, but by the laws of the sky. The fundamental and universal laws of harmony, empathy, compassion, and growth. Here the stick of power would lies on the concept of memory, collective memories, experiences, and traditions. There will lie to a specific culture and civilization. Of course, each culture has its own values. There, what comes into play, the sense of being part of a tribe. You would reach some specific tribe rather than another because it would match with your personal values. Meaning that there's no judgment about that. Can't say that some values are better or not than others. We're just human. We are no one to judge which is the best value, best religion, best habit, best belief. But what we know is that we have our own. And it has to be respected as well, no matter what. If you work on that, Amber, if you master it, you may be able to gather crowds You will be able to empower any kind of community because you will offer something which is priceless. You will offer meaning and a path and a purpose, a reason to live and a reason to join.
Raise the cube.